Tell us a little bit about a watch people have seen before, your Tudor Heritage Chrono Blue, and where that came from.
I do wear it. Actually, it came from here. And the first time I saw that watch, I saw it in a magazine. And everyone, you know, that's listened to me knows how much I love the Tudor. I just love the design. I love the style they do, kind of that retro look. And the first time I saw one, I thought, you know what, I'm going to have that watch one day. And when this one came through the store, as soon as it came through and we saw it, I walked right in and bought it. And so, you know, this watch was a purchase from here. It was a couple months old when I bought it. I love it. I wear it on the NATO all the time. I've never even put it on a bracelet. I just don't care for bracelets myself. Especially down here, the way we swell up and everything. And,
oh yeah.
You know, with the humidity. I love the watch though. I get a lot of compliments on it still. It's a simple watch. It's not high horology.
No.
But it's a fun watch. You know, and the color. It's reliable. The color, it makes it more fun with the orange and the blue. Like I said, I get a lot of compliments on it when I wear it. It's just a timeless piece.
I feel just anecdotally, knowing you and seeing you around all the time, this feels like the watch you wear the most, the one that gets the most wrist time.
It's most comfortable too for me. You know, just because of the NATO strap, the case isn't real thick. You know, it's not heavy. It's a comfortable watch. Again, when I'm working, if I'm doing an overhaul or something, I don't wear any watch. I take the watch off. I don't like that weight.
Yeah.
Because of I'm using the tweezers and everything is so dependent on feel. You know, I can't feel a hairspring the same way wearing a watch as if I'm not wearing a watch.
Just having that extra pressure on the wrist, on the radial nerve.
Absolutely. You know, it's a totally different feel. You know, we make jokes about it. Tweezers. You know, we go through the shop. We have 4 watchmakers. You can pick up somebody else's tweezers and know they're not yours. You just by the tension of them. You get so used to using something, and you can tell when it's yours and when something's not. But anything that changes that tension, to be able to move a hairspring and manipulate a hairspring the right way, you have to have that full feel. And the same thing, clipping fingernails. I'll clip my fingernails right before I do an overhaul, and I'll do that, you know, a couple of times a week, just because I don't want that extra that interference.
Yeah.
You know, from something else.
You're almost like a knuckleball pitcher.
Yeah, exactly. Almost.
So now here's the thing, guys, about Mike's collection. We're starting on his collection, and then we're proceeding to his plans for his own fabrication, because Mike is a watchmaker in the truest sense. He fabricates parts up to and including complete watches. So we're going to talk a little bit about that direction next. But before, I think I just want to observe broadly, you're not a movement nerd. I know you like working on complications.
Exactly.
These are story watches here.
These are story watches, and when you ask me to bring in some of my pieces, the pieces these are all pieces that I'll wear, or that have significance to me, and these are the pieces basically that I don't want to let go. You know, of course, you know, the 600, which I absolutely love.
The Seamaster Ploprof.
Yeah, I absolutely love that watch. It's pretty much indestructible. It's a beautiful piece. One of the best case designs ever. We've talked about that. The only reason that watch wasn't deemed as waterproof when it first came out was because of the plastic ring underneath the crystal. The pressure stopped the second hand because it collapsed the crystal. But they've actually repaired that. Even on the vintage ones, that plastic ring's replaced with an aluminum ring, so the crystal can no longer compress into the movement. So for all intents and purposes, it's a waterproof watch.
And that's pretty impressive that Omega actually bothered to create a service update part for a watch that's 40 years old.
Exactly.
And guys, this is the real Seamaster 600 Ploprof. This is the 166, I want to say like 077 from 1970 to 79. This is not the modern re-edition.
Exactly. It does have the bezel, though, and everything on it. It's still, the luminous is great on the watch. I love it. Again, it's another watch. If I'm out and I'm wearing it, someone that knows what the watch is, they'll make a comment about it. You know, and instead of being a big block of metal on your wrist, if people understand what this watch is, they'll approach you with it.
And the funny thing is, after wearing the 2008 to present reissue of the watch, the original almost seems like a dress watch inside.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like half the size.
The size is perfect. And when I used to work on these watches 15, 20 years ago, we always thought, who wanted this? Who would possibly wear this? Well, obviously you didn't. This watch was never sold as a fashion piece. It was sold as a utility watch. And if I remember right, the watch, I think it retailed for about $600 when it came out. It was twice the price of any other Omega.
Even more on the mesh.
Okay, yeah.
And much more than a sub.
And so it was, you had to want this watch. You had to have a purpose for this watch. And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it designed by Jacques Cousteau?
It was designed, yeah, with his input. Originally, the idea was that Jacques Cousteau would do the prototype trialing, and ultimately it would be a watch for Comex. Comex elected against the watch, going for a more conventional solution to helium sealing. This watch was actually judged to be, it was judged to be helium-proof. It didn't have a helium release valve because Omega argued it was so perfectly sealed that helium couldn't get in the first place.
Right.
So what happened in the end was that Comex went with the more conventional Rolex and Doxa watches that had the helium release valve.
Well, and again, the reason for the helium valve, people ask about that too, especially with Omega, with the operational helium valves. The helium molecules are smaller than air molecules.
Yes.
So the problem is in saturation diving, which, what is it, less than 1/2% of people ever do saturation diving.
And then only in a bell with specialized equipment.
So that's the helium atmosphere. So the helium gas will actually get inside the watch through the seals. That's not the problem. And the problem is when you come up back to atmospheric pressure, the watch is going to expand. The helium expands and it can't go anywhere. So that's where you have your helium escape valve. It's a valve that's going to open in the side of the case, allowing that gas to come out and the watch itself to equalize in pressure. The theory on this is, the way the case construction is, there's nothing that can come apart. It can't, if the helium gas gets in, there's nothing coming apart out of it though. It's a solid block of metal.